You know, great art doesn't just happen by accident. Okay, well, maybe sometimes. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor, everybody. Today, I want to show you something that I do occasionally that is just a ton of fun. I call it accidental painting. I used to call it impromptu painting. I'm not sure either of those names are very good. Maybe you guys can help me think of a better name. But basically, I pull out some watercolor paper and I just throw some paint down and get started. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Now, a couple things about this technique. First of all, it works best with landscape, because landscapes can kind of be loose, amorphous, even impressionistic, and semi-abstract. So everybody give it up for my friend over here, Reese. One of the things Reese wants you to know is you need to, as a painter, you need to embrace failure. This is a great exercise for that. Failure is one of the biggest reasons, I think, that beginners abandon a medium. They put too much pressure on themselves to succeed at every single painting. So you've got to do a good number of paintings where basically you start out giving yourself permission to fail. In other words, you're going to do a technique, you're going to practice techniques, and it doesn't matter what it turns out looking like. You're going to come away learning something. That's the key here. Well, shall we go for it, buddy? Let me show you how it's done. Now, generally, to get started, I will pick a color scheme, usually a very limited palette, maybe 3 colors, 4 at the most. And it's handy to have a piece of scratch paper so you can try that. I'm thinking about doing some purples and some greens. And I'll start out with a series of very, very wet washes, and I will just start splashing technique in there. Spritzing, spraying, dry brush, wet and wet, whatever I can, and just almost randomly. And I'm going to let the watercolor medium itself start the painting for me. And then later on, and you'll see this step later, as it starts to give me interesting shapes, I'll try to turn those into a painting. And that's generally the process. So let's get started. I'm going to try some wet washes. I'm going to go right onto dry paper, but the washes will be very wet. And then I'll add different things as I go along. I am thinking landscape, so I do throw in some landscape kind of colors. Now I just want to see what interesting things develop on here and what watercolor will give me. I like the idea of a limited palette, so I'm going to stick with the purples and greens, maybe a few browns, orangish browns. If you have a really wet spot like that, you can blow it with a straw. Sorry for my head. Talk about glare, huh? Nothing like the glare of that bald spot. I have no picture in mind. I am just taking the shapes that are on the paper here. I'm trying to turn them into even more interesting shapes. The huge temptation here is to overwork. All right, I'm going to start letting that dry. But as I see some interesting shapes emerge, now I'm going to start thinking about what this looks like. Well, we're bone dry now, and I'm going to start putting some dry technique in places. I might still do a little bit of spritzing. As it was drying, I spent a good bit of time looking at it and saying, what is that? What is that? You know, different areas of the painting. What can I do with that? And without further ado, we'll just keep going. So much fun, guys. It's a great way to try out one of those techniques that you've always been wanting to try. Some spatter into wet and wet, some water droplets into wet and wet, just anything like that. And by the way, I'm going to go into some of those techniques that I used in detail and in maybe some short episodes coming up in the future, but use it as a great way to learn. Don't expect to finish painting, but you might be surprised. You might have something that when you're done is something you can actually frame. What's this? Oh yeah, Reese wanted me to remind you, we got a big extravaganza coming up. 4th of July, just around the corner, but also my 1-year YouTube anniversary. Kind of excited about that. And I just passed 10,000 subscribers. So it'll sort of be a triple celebration. I'm planning on doing a studio tour. Hope you might like that, and look forward to that very soon. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you liked the video. If this was a help to you, subscribe if you want to see more of this content, and we will see you next time.